Hi, good day everyone. For this session, we're going to learn sequencing sentences as part of verbal reasoning. This will be a 10-item set A. So for this session, we will have to be conscious on how we can create a paragraph from a set of sentences. So it is critical that we be able to detect the sequencing or the flow of thought within the paragraph. So for number one, we have these four sentences and we need to find a way by which they can all be connected to form a paragraph. And from the options given A, B, C, D, we're going to choose the best sequence we can have. So from the given four sentences, we will have to check on what could be related with respect to at least two of these. Okay, so we can start probably with forests are essential to man's survival, or we can start with the first, man needs to learn from nature's wrath. But then number two cannot be used as the first sentence because they would mean that there is a reference for a preceding sentence. Okay? And that sentence 3, okay, would also imply that this follows a sentence prior to saying governments that convert forests into agricultural land will face the negative impacts of flash floods. So let's look at what could be the best option in here. So you need to first choose for yourself from the choices A, B, C, D, and then let's reveal what the best set of statements in terms of the sequence would be. And so we have for number one, the sequence 4, 2, 3, and 1. So we have forests are essential to man's survival. They provide critical volume of oxygen with offsets, which offsets carbon dioxide emissions. Governments that convert forests into agricultural land will face the negative impacts of flash floods, diminished water tables, and environmental degradation. Man needs to learn from nature's wrath by minimizing their abuse of the environment, including the prevention of deforestation. So that's our answer for number one. For number two, we have four as before, four statements, and we need to more or less identify the beginning or a pair of two of these four sentences and then develop the sequence. Okay, so we will have to notice or take note of the first statement or sentence. It was not for lack of love from his family. So this means this could probably follow a sentence, no? And for number two sentence, Jin was born with a twin. So we could probably get this as the first sentence, okay? And number three could follow number two, okay? So make a choice from these options A, B, C, D, and then let's look at how it should be sequenced. So the answer for number two will be 2, 3, 1, 4. So Jin was born with a twin. They got separated when they were small. Jin's twin, even in her youth, felt she did not belong with the family she grew up with. It was not for lack of love from his family that Jin felt he was missing something. Some time ago, Jin and his twin tried DNA matching to search for something each felt was missing. So this is now for number 2. For number 3, we have this set of sequences, no, this set of sentences, I mean, and so let's make a choice at least for the first sentence. Okay, so the world is a stage. That could be a first statement. Indeed, number 2 sentence cannot be. And number 3 sentence, the world knows Filipinos are talented. This could also be a first statement. So from the choices 1, 2, 3, and 4, we could choose between 1 and 3 as our first statement. But let's reveal our answer for number 3. Okay, so for number 3, it will be a sequence of 3, 1, 4, and 2. Okay, so you can read through the sequence, and then let's go to number 4. Number 4, you will have to check which one would probably be the first sentence. So number 1, I asked myself, what can one do with a can of sardines? So that could be our first statement. The second sentence cannot be a first statement. Okay? And number 2, 3 sentence also cannot be. Number 4 could also be our first statement. Okay? If those who do with what's available the best they can will most likely get through tough times. So we have the choice between the first statement and the fourth sentence to be our first sentence for the paragraph. Okay, let's reveal our sequence. So our sequence will be 1, 2, 3, 4. They were sequenced as they should. Okay, so no hard choices for number 4. For number 5, let's choose between the 4 sentences, which could be our first statement. Major disasters are global citizens. So could this be? Okay, this could be. Number 2, okay, most likely will not be a first statement. Okay, number 3, the world needs to unite, means that the number 3 sentence, excuse me, most likely will not be our first sentence for the paragraph. Number 4 could be. They blame climate change for the prevalence of natural calamities that have claimed the lives of many. So our choice for our first sentence for the paragraph for number 5 would either be number 1 or 4. So let's reveal our sequence. And so our sequence will be 4, 2, 1, 3. For number 6, we have this. Voila! We cannot have that as part of the first sentence. Okay. Number 2, could we have number 2? Thoroughly clean the utensils to be used and sterilize the glass jars. We could, because this now instructs us that we need to begin by preparing glass jars. Okay. Air dry the bananas and cut them into thin slices. Okay. That means we're preparing in here something, and so preparatory to the cutting up of bananas would be a first statement. So sentence number 3 will not be a good first sentence. Place carefully, that also will not be a first statement. And then number 5, so cannot also be. So our first choice would be to start with sentence number 2 to begin the paragraph for number 6. And let's look at the sequence. So for number 6, our sequence will be 2, 5, 3, 4, and 1. Okay. Number 7. Number 7, which of the 4 sentences could be our first statement? Number 1 cannot because it starts be with but. Number 2 cannot because it starts with indeed. Number 3 also cannot, so I built myself. So for number 7, our first choice will be sentence number 4. And the sequence for this will be 4, 1, 3, and 2. For number 8, okay, our first statement, the heavy rains have started to worry residents. So this could be a first statement. A long-term solution cannot be a first statement, which means that we're working on a prior set of sentences, or at least a sentence before a long-term solution could be discussed. Number 2 cannot also be a first statement. Okay. Number 4 cannot also be a first statement. Okay. So for number 8, our first statement will be number 1. Let's reveal the sequence. It will be 1, 4, 3, and 2. For number 9, which could be our first statement, sustaining the university cannot be because that means there is a prior sentence at least to that. The applicability of the ADB core, that could be our first statement. That is for sentence number 3, also tells us that there is or there are prior sentences to that. And number 4, okay, the vision of achieving, okay, also means that there is or are a prior set of sentences, at least one sentence. So our first choice for the first sentence for this paragraph would be number 2. Now let's reveal the sequence. It will be 2, 4, 3, and 1. Okay, and for the last item, number 10, let's look at this study proposes to put to the forefront. So this study means that there would have to be an introductory sentence or sentences prior to sentence 1. Number sentence 2, these are most, means there is a prior reference, no, to the word these. Okay. And number 3 cannot also be our first sentence, leaving us number 4 as our first sentence for paragraph number 10. Cancer, renal failure, diabetes, etc. So let's reveal the sequence. The sequence will be 4, 2, 1, and 3. Okay, so I hope you learn from these lessons and learn how some of the words within a sentence can tell us which of the sentences can be our choice for our first sentence to make up a paragraph. Okay, thank you very much. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates and additional materials. Frequent uploads of videos will be made to help us all learn. Thank you very much.